very good morning to each one of you. Honorable Principal, teachers who are in the noblest profession of teaching, the students who are our dreams for the future, and distinguished guests. Let me convey my heartfelt, heartiest, warmest greetings to you on this occasion of the Republic Day. Let's really think about why was 26th January declared a holiday. When our founders wrote the Constitution for us, they realized the significance, the importance, the depth, the profoundness of every word written in the Constitution was of such intensity that we were required to sit, reflect, and assimilate the greatness, the exalted quality of our Constitution. Today, the freedom which we enjoy of studying in any school, taking up any profession, any occupation, any trade, any business, moving to any part of the country, taking up any religion, meeting with people at any place, making any assembly, any association, expressing the opinion in any method, through any media, all these rights come to us from our Constitution. When a Constitution was written, it was a document of how we will shape our country. It is a beacon, it is a monitor, it is a regulator. It is the most important document which lays out the system of governance of this country. Geographically speaking, our country has 3.2 million square kilometers of the area. Our land frontiers are 15,200 kilometers. Our coastal lines cover up 7,600 kilometers. We are between the latitudes of 8 degrees and 36 degrees north and 68 and 92 degrees east longitudes. But the soul comes from the Constitution. The governance comes from the Constitution. The preamble of the Constitution says, "We, the people of this country, solemnly resolve." Solemn, the word solemn has a tremendous amount of poetic meaning. Solemnly resolve to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. These 5 words mean a lot. It is a bounden duty of each one of us to study and imbibe the spirit of the Constitution. And this was the precise reason why the Republic Day was declared as a national holiday. I would request each one of you present here to study the Constitution in the depth. And once you have studied it, once you have imbibed the noble qualities enshrined in our Constitution, you will certainly find you are a reformed person. Your chest will swell with pride of being an Indian. You will be proud of the great deeds of the people who wrote the Constitution. When the Constitution was being written, Dr. Ambedkar and his teammates, all members of the Legislative Assembly, they said, let's get the best of the best. So the words liberty, equality, fraternity, we picked up from the French Constitution. The 5-year plans we picked up from USSR. How a Supreme Court is going to function, we got the inspiration from Japan's Constitution. The directive principles, what will be the role of the state governments, we picked up from the Ireland. So we kept the windows of our mind open and picked up the best of the best. And today, our Constitution, with 444 articles, 1,80,000 words is considered to be the best, the largest, the most exalted constitution in the entire world. Doesn't it deserve a big applause? This constitution, what does it contain? It is the supreme law of the country. It defines the structures, the procedures, the working of all the institutions. It defines the pillars of the democracy, the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. It also gives you the fundamental rights, the rector principles, and something we'll talk about in greater detail, the fundamental duties which most of us are not aware of. Articles 14 to Article 32 give us various freedoms. But you students should read more about Article 51A. This was incorporated in 1977. This article lays out your bounden duties towards your country. And the first of these is that you shall have utmost respect for the Constitution, for the national flag, and the national emblem. Second, you shall learn and respect the ideals of our freedom fighters. Thirdly, you shall always pay heed to our national culture and our heritage. Now, fourth one is the most important for you students. Number 4 of Article 51A says that each one of us will develop in us, each one of us will develop within us a scientific bent of mind, a spirit of inquiry. That is, each one of you will become a great thinker. You will wonder about how things happen so that this brain grows. Each one of you will not live like a small physical entity, but grow up to encompass, to embrace the needs of the society, of the country. And the glow of your brilliant mind shall benefit millions and millions. The 8th point in this section, in 51A, Article 51A, also says that each one of you shall strive for all-round excellence. Excellence not only in the academics, but also in other fields, with sports, with research, with business, individually and collectively. Remember, you are duty-bound. I repeat, develop a scientific bent of mind, a spirit of inquiry, and work for all-round excellence. Now, how do we do that? Well, somebody will say, become physically strong and mentally sharp. Some will say, question everything. How is it that our Earth rotates at 720 miles per hour? It revolves around the sun at 72,000 miles per hour, but we don't feel it. How is it that an inanimate object, a non-living thing like the seed, when we sow it in the ground, it becomes a living thing? How is it that the most beautiful things, like the fragrance of a flower, the love of a mother, the strength of a character, we are not able to quantify, we are not able to measure. Think about these things. The tangible and the intangible. What you can measure and what you can't. Albert Einstein, I'll just give you an example which will help you develop a thinking mind. On the 13th birthday of Albert Einstein, his parents gave him a small gift. The gift was a compass, which could be tied like a watch on his wrist. When they gave the compass to Albert Einstein, he held that compass in his hand, and very keenly he was observing the compass. And the both parents were looking at Albert. Hey, Albert, do you like it? There was no response. The father said, Hey, look at the compass. There's a needle which comes to the west in the northerly direction. He was quiet. The parents thought the child didn't like it. They asked, Albert, what are you thinking? Can't you see the needle coming in the west in the north direction? And then Albert looked up and said, I was wondering, what is that force that gets the needle to the north? So deep was his thinking. He was thinking about the geomagnetism. This is the depth of the thought each one of you should have. In California, in a place called Santa Clara, there is a young Indian student, Shubham Banerjee. He just happened to ask on the breakfast table, Dad, how do blind people read? The father could give an instant answer, but he said, hey, check about Google. He found, okay, the reading material is in the braille form, the dots, etc. Then he asked his father, but how do they print this braille form? The father said, there is an embosser. Embosser does the piercing on the paper. He said, how much does it cost? He found out $2,000. That's nearly 1,20,000 rupees. He says, isn't that a big sum? How can an average American or an Indian get this embosser? I'll do something. I'll work on it and I'll get a desktop embosser printer for braille. This 13-year-old boy has developed a printer, and Intel, the greatest processor maker, has invested in this company. 13-year-old boy is going to change the lives of millions and millions of blind people, and at a nominal price. I want you to see inspiration from this. There is no end to learning. Each one of you is capable of what Shubham Banerjee did in California, Santa Clara. You know, Albert Einstein's theory of relativity, his driver, who was illiterate, but had just read for a few years in school, was also a brilliant learner. After Albert Einstein got the Nobel Prize for his theory of relativity, he used to go to all different colleges and universities to give lectures. And one day, after about 6 months' time, the driver said, Sir, you know something? Today even I can give a lecture on theory of relativity. Einstein said, that's brilliant. Tomorrow I'm going to a college where nobody knows me, nobody recognizes me. So you give a lecture and I will drive. So next day, the driver put on a wig and planted the white beard here, and Einstein shaved himself, put on a cap like a driver, and he drove. When they reached the hall, Einstein, in a driver's suit dress, was sitting in a corner on one side, and the driver, who was now dressed like an Einstein, went and gave a 1.5 hours lecture on theory of relativity. Nobody knew that this driver whose speaker is not real Einstein. After the lecture was over, one of the deans got up and said, Sir, we are tremendously enriched, highly informed lecture indeed. If you don't mind, can we have some questions, please? He said, okay, let's see. So one dean said, Sir, your theory of relativity is very valid as far as the Earth's gravitational force is concerned, geomagnetism is concerned. But will it be valid on other planets with different gravitational force and the interplanetary forces, etc.? I know what the driver did. He was very sharp. He said, come on, Dean, you asked such a simple question that even my driver can answer. Okay, in the end, I'd just like to say something. You know, Indian pilots, Indian Air Force, because the culture of the armed forces, always try to exceed what we call an operational envelope of an aircraft. We try to go beyond what the manufacturers have said. We have a deep penetration strike aircraft called Jaguar, which can carry 10,000 pounds worth of bombs and go and deliver 300 kilometers inside the enemy territory. What we have done is, we have increased the payload. We have developed new stations on the aircraft where we can carry extra missiles. And the French people, they were surprised how these Indians at HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, have done this modification. In America, nearly 15 years ago, when I was a young officer in Air Force, there was a competition held in 60 countries. Pilots from 60 countries were invited for air-to-ground rocket firing competition. And one of my seniors, now Air Marshal Tiny Kumari, he was chosen the best pilot, and his score exceeded what was theoretically possible. So we have produced some of the best pilots in the world. If you read about the Second World War, you'll hear the name of one Wing Commander, Jumbo Mazumdar. This person led our forces against Japanese forces in Burma. And thereafter he was handpicked and taken to England so that he could go and attack places where nobody could ever go in Germany. There was a place called Falaise Camp. He was the only one who could go inside and bomb those places, and he was given the highest award of Distinguished Flying Cross by the Queen of England. Let me tell you one more story. 200 years ago, in a place called Sargari in Afghanistan, there were 21 Sikh soldiers. They were defending a small post. And British people, they could never really, take over this post from Afghanistan. These 21 soldiers were attacked by 800 people, the tribals. And each tribal was 6.5 feet tall, very muscular, carrying swords. They attacked this post at 2 a.m. The fight continued till 10 a.m., 8 hours. And after that, the last soldier, who was a radio operator, he sent a message that all 20 have died. I'm the last one. I cannot handle the wireless set now, and I am fighting. He killed another 8. More than 280 tribals were killed before these 21 laid down their lives. When this story reached the Queen, she gave the award of Order of British Empire to each one of these, and this story is considered to be amongst the 8 best stories of valor or bravery in the entire world. So students know this. We have the blood and the inspiration of our forefathers. Each one of you is duty bound to excel. Don't limit your life for working or gaining only for your own sake. Okay? Always get inspiration from the sun, which illuminates the life of the whole world. Now, all I have said, I'd like to sum it up with a very, very short anecdote. There was a small village, and close to a village there was a small mountain. On top of a mountain there was a saint. And all village people thought that this saint knows everything about everything. There was a young student. He said, how is it possible that a saint knows everything about everything? So one day, on a Sunday morning, he climbed up the mountain and wanted to talk to the saint. In between, he caught a butterfly in his hand. And he said, I will ask the saint, is this butterfly in my hand alive or dead? If he says this butterfly is dead, I'll open the palm and the butterfly will fly away. I'll prove the saint wrong. And if he says it is alive, then I'll crush it. When he reached the top, the saint was in samadhi. This good boy stayed there for some time. After some time, saint came out of his samadhi and said, "What's कैसे आना हुआ?" He said, "महाराज, सब लोग कहते हैं आपको सब ज्ञान है, तो आप बताइए मेरे हाथ में जो तितली है वो मृत है या जीवित?" Some of you must be saying जीवित, some will say dead. But you know what was the answer? Saint said, इस प्रश्न का उत्तर तुम्हारे हाथ में है. So, what to make of yourself, your life is in your hands. Okay? Seek light from the lighted and light from the living. Just remember, lives of great men all inspire us to make our lives sublime and parting leave behind us footprints in the sands of time. Thank you so much.